I'm going to get to work on sanding these smooth and then coating them with filler primer and then sanding them smooth again so that the wood grain disappears. Just like that. Welcome to the second prop revisit of my channel. There's no video of this being built because it was done long before I had a channel. In fact, I think this was the first Borderlands gun that I made, and it was for a friend of mine who didn't take super good care of it. As you can see, there's paint missing and the stock has some fractures in it, but that's okay because I wanted to improve this anyways, so it's really going to be more of a remaster than a remake. This gun started out as a Nerf gun, and I just started taking pieces away and putting pieces on until it looked like the Torgue 3-way Hulk. But now that I've got a better workshop and better skills, I'm going to make this better. The biggest improvements that I want to make to this are, number one, the barrels, because these are too dinky for what they should look like. I'm gonna have to cut out some of this frame here and then fit these larger diameter PVC pipe barrels inside. And the other thing is improve the paint job, because I didn't have the skills at the time to do this kind of paint work, but now that I do, I think I want to improve upon that. So let's get started. I need to open up this save file in Border Tool, and we're going to add a weapon. A Torgue shotgun. It's going to be uncommon for the right paint job. Torgue body, Torgue grip, that's a bandit barrel. Okay, that's fine. Dock Torgue, elemental none, because it's Torgue. Alright. Open you. Take a while. So here's what we're going for here. And you can already see a lot of things that I want to change. Can't remember if I glued this magazine in place or just screwed it in place. Let's see. Oh, I think that's glued. Oh yeah, that is definitely glued in place. Okay. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. But I'm pretty sure that I didn't glue the barrels, because I kind of knew when I was making it that these barrels looked too small. So I think I was like, I am not going to glue these in because I want to be able to remove them and improve them someday. Alright, barrels have been cut, cleaned up, sanded, and degreased. Let's see if my PVC cement is still good. Oh, that's okay. That's on there. Oh boy. Oh, I don't think I'm getting into this. Alright, what are the odds that this will actually work? Huh. There we go. Well, that was shut really tight, so I'm going to assume no air was getting in there. I don't remember how goopy this is supposed to be, though. Oh, if jelly-like, don't use. It's not jelly-like-ish. Now, the last time that I did these barrels, I sanded the contours into the muzzles before gluing them, and then I had a difficult time keeping them lined up, while I was taping them together. So this time, I'm going to glue them and then sand the contours in. That way I can be sure that they'll line up perfectly. The problem is if I screw up one of these notches, then all 3 barrels are junk. Let's not screw those up. So with those bigger barrels, I'm going to need a bigger opening in the frame here. So I'm going to cut some plastic out using this really medieval looking cutting tool. Look at this thing, this is nuts. Now we should have room for the new barrels. Oh, not quite. Oh, so close. All right, I cut the barrels down quite a bit because they're going to stop right there. The old barrels went further back in the body, and now I'm gonna have to cheat a little bit. Barrels are going to have to contour around the body. Oh my God, they fit. They just go right in. Holy moly. Oh man, I don't need to contour the barrels at all. Jeez, I didn't think they were actually going to fit in here. Ha! That's cool. I'm going to fill these little windows in here because they're not accurate to the gun in the game and just don't really need them there. So we're gonna fill those in with some, where are you? Ah, there we go. Some Bondo. Alright, well that Bondo sets up. I'm going to get to work on these cracks in the stock. Now I thought I was going to use some spot putty for that, but on closer inspection it looks like it's gotten pretty fragile. So I think I'm going to dump some super glue in there first. This thing must have got like dropped. That's the only explanation for the amount of damage that's been caused here. I'm going to use the thin super glue so that it gets right down in all those cracks. Like so. This is what the thin super glue was made for. Finish that off with some gel stuff. Now we will spot putty on there. All right, call that good. All right, let's do these barrel contours here. All right, yeah, pretty good contouring there. I'm really happy with that. So that part's done. I'm going to get started on the sights that I want to add to the gun. They're going to be made out of wood. Okay, front sight. Okay, so here's a bunch of pieces for the rear sight. I'm going to laminate them together with some super glue and then shape it on my bench sander. Okay, I got my rear sight and my front sight. So these are going to get sanded and then sprayed with filler primer and then sanded again. So hopefully the wood grain will disappear. Adding these little lug nut pieces to the back of the magazine. I'm going to coat all of that with filler primer and figure out if there's any other holes that I need to fill. So the gun has sections of accessory mounting rails on it, so I'm going to cut off some sections of this 1913 rail that I have and mount those on the gun. It's not going to be quite the right size because everything in Borderlands is a little bit chunky and larger than life, and that's why on the bitch submachine gun I made my own custom sized rails. But since this is more of like an interpretation of the gun and less of a recreation, I'm gonna go with this because it's easier. So now. Okay, so that's all the barrel hardware ready to go. Now the stock looks like riveted sheet metal, so I'm going to add these little brads to simulate rivets. I'm just using this low tack tape to mark off straight lines. Okay, those are all going to be rivets. Take this out. We've got some glue. Lock it in. I think that works. Cool. That's one side full of rivets. That worked really well, actually. That's so cool. That's going to look awesome. All right. Other side. All the pieces are ready for color priming. I'm going to use the same nutmeg color that I used on the Fallout Pip-Boy. You'll notice that a lot of these pieces are still separate. I like to do my painting in as many pieces as is kind of convenient because it makes some things much easier to paint when it's not attached to the main body. Here it is, guys, the finished Torgue 3-way Hulk. If I can be completely candid with you all for a second, this really became a chore to finish. Right off the bat, the painting was fighting me because of the base coat that I tried to use, which was a satin finish Rust-Oleum, and I knew better. I knew that I knew better. I've told you guys better, but I thought I could get away with it, and I most definitely did not. So after fixing that mistake, I set this aside for a few months, and I did the Borderlands 3 Infinity, and then came back to this just to get it off my workbench so that I could move on to other things. So my apologies for not having footage of this being painted, but I mean, let's face it, I've got 2 other videos on Borderlands painting, as well as a little bit of painting on every Borderlands gun video that I do. So there's enough of my technique out there. If you have any questions, you can, well, watch those videos or post a comment. I'll probably reply. If you want to see progress pictures of the final stages of this build, there are a few up on my Instagram. And the last thing I want to say is this is going to be the last Borderlands gun that I make. It's been a lot of fun. I've done several more Borderlands guns than I ever intended to, but they are a blast to make, and they are very popular on the social medias. So that kind of distracted me from making the things that I set out to make in the first place. So I'm gonna get on to making those. I hope you keep following me to see what else I do, and just, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all the things that YouTubers say, and I will see you in the next video.
The party in the dust and the sand, chip on your shoulder, sweat and dirt on your hands. Machines in slumber start to lumber outside. Head for a number, see the colors collide. Search safest sanctuary, dropping them dollars on you, thank you very much. By the way, no refunds, back into the boneyard, Badlands we run. I saw a siren singing, shifting through the shots, a ringing, frying, burning, guts a stinging, bringing you the pain. Come on down and join the party tonight. We ain't the kind to turn away from a fight. Chips on the shoulders, sweat and dirt on our hands, 'cause we're breaking down the borders as we light up the land. Yeah.
All right, sirens, enough. You can stop.